Hi, everybody. I'm Madison, and today we're going to get started with our session on quick research. This is our part 4 in our 4-part series that we've been doing with our getting started of our Agentic AI teammates in Amazon Quick Suite. So far we've covered quick flows, which is an agentic workflow that you can use as kind of like a mini productivity app. We've covered spaces on how you set up space with both your unstructured and structured data to inform your agents, how to create custom agents within Quick Suite, and how to use the browser extension as well as bring in your third-party apps into Quick Suite itself. So very excited to continue this 4-part series with you all today. So agenda quickly is going to be creating a quick research plan. I'm going to dive straight into my prompt, and that's because it's going to take about 20 to 30 minutes to build the research plan. So I want to make sure that we have that being built while we go through the rest of the steps here. Then I'm going to cover what exactly quick research is while that's building. I'll be covering the quick research capabilities. So what type of features can you use to help expedite your experience using quick research? Then I'll do some deeper dives into the demo. Hopefully by then we'll see the research being fully built out. I'll provide some learning resources. So first, I'm going to go ahead, switch screens here. So I'm going to dive straight in. Let me just give a brief overview of what we're going to be looking at. So this is going to be a company that we've been following called AnyRetail Snacks. AnyRetail Snacks is a global healthy snack retailer selling 5 products. So they sell 5 different products across the globe, and they're looking to focus more in the Asia Pacific region and having a product more focused towards that demographic. They're really looking to expand, but they're kind of lost on terms of what country to focus on, what flavor profile to focus on that meets the regional standards and interests and trends of the local community. And they want to look at the previous sales that they've had in that region to inform these decision-making processes. So this might be something that you can relate to. If not, hopefully this is a really general example for you to understand kind of the capabilities that we're going to be working with today. And we're building off of our previous assets. So we have already created our AnyRetail snack space. This includes the structured data from our quick site dashboards, which is of our sales and customer satisfaction data. And it also has our unstructured data from our previous sales teams, how we've been forwarding in different regions, some basic messaging and branding that we have associated with our company, and nutritional facts. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and we're going to launch a new quick research project. So I'll press this plus sign here. And the first thing that I'm going to do is type in my prompt. So this is going to be my research objective. And so I already have one here that I'm going to copy and paste. So this one, I'm saying, based on the sales trends in the APAC region, we want to build out a strategic plan for targeting product placement in select countries and store types with Asia-specific flavor profiles. This is misspelled, let me fix that. That meets our ingredient quality. This plan should outline the steps for a 1-year timeline of implementation and produce the highest return on investment. We want the plan to engage more Asian Pacific regions, countries as loyal customers. All right, so this looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and I'll be covering this capabilities in a second, but I'm going to quickly add the assets that I want to provide additional context to this research. So all I'm going to do is add my space. I'm going to add my quick site dashboard, which has all of our sales information. I'm going to add the specific topic that is associated with it. So that is this one. And I'm also going to add, let's see here. That's it. Okay, so I'm going to add those, which will come here, and this will help provide context. I'm not going to add any files, any refined web search or third-party data, and I'm just going to press start researching. And so at this point, you'll see that the new research is going to be generated. This is going to take about 20 to 30 minutes. What's happening in the background here is Amazon Quick Suite is searching all the web information that's related to what I want to talk about. So we'll see things that have trends on Asia Pacific flavors, different sales metrics that associate with our historical orders in terms of what's happening in the Asia Pacific region. And we should also see different countries and their individual snack trends. So I'll let this run, and now I'm going to go over and switch back to my PowerPoint. And while this is running, I'll cover the specific capabilities and benefits of Amazon Quick Research. All right, so again, we were imagining that we are on a research and development team looking to create the next big healthy snack craze in Asia. This by itself is a very large, ambiguously determined problem that our business has to solve. There's a lot of inputs into this. It can lead to several solutions and recommendations, and you'd want to put a lot of research into this. Traditionally, this would take weeks or even months of research and preparation to come to a solution, but we're going to be seeing how quick research allows us to expedite this process, saving us a ton of time on the research end. So we use Amazon Quick Research to conduct deep research and prepare an action plan, which we'll see it being generated in a few minutes. But before we do so, I'm just going to cover what Amazon Quick Suite is so that we have a very solid understanding. If you haven't attended our previous parts to this series, this will be a good understanding of what the solution does in general as a product, and then I'll cover the specific capability. So Amazon Quick Suite is a set of agentic teammates that allow you to quickly answer your questions and give you actionable things that you can take into your business solutions so that you can take that into production. So Quick Suite unites your teams and your agents to create one combined environment for you to share all your assets with each other and be able to work faster and make better decision-making solutions. So it helps you get the right answers that help inform your decision-making processes, make smarter decisions, and take more action using all of your company's data. This also, I want to emphasize, is private within your own instance so that you can create an ecosystem shared just with your team and not shared outside unless you provide provisions and access to those users. So this is a great solution for companies who are looking to only share things within teams. If you have a specific department and you have department-specific data, you're allowed to create the same permissions and access that you would use in your AWS environment for those specific people to get the right context of your department's data. All right, and that is just a quick overview, but specifically now let's talk about quick research. So this is our slide here. It says, become an expert on a new topic with quick research. And what do I mean by expert? Because we're taking all of that context and having quick research produce it, you're going to see a huge aggregated plan of what's happening with our prompt and how it's being put into a solution. So this allows you to take complex problems and time-intensive research into something that's more manageable and be able to be read and digestible to share across your team to make decision-making processes move smoothly. This allows you to leverage your data, which we saw through that upload process, which came from my space and my dashboard and topic. It also allows you, which I'll show in the next slides, of how you can upload private third-party data that your company has access to, as well as public data from the internet. And so you may be asking, what can I do with quick research? So besides the use case that we just saw here, quick research allows you to use third-party knowledge to give context to your research. So as I mentioned in the previous slide, if your company has access to a few of these applications plus some other ones which you can find on our documentation, you're able to connect to them through our integrations and have this inform your research context. So for example, if I wanted to use FactSet's public data to inform my research further and I had access to a FactSet account, I could have connected that to my Quick Suite research and been able to put that into the context of my prompt. Another one that you can do is refine your web crawling. So I briefly showed that on the UI screen from when I put in my prompt, but you can indicate which sites to allow and which sites to avoid. So that's what it looks like here. You'll see this web search and its icon, and you can specify if you want preferred websites for quick research to crawl. So you can go specifically with a specific URL domain, or you can be as general as saying government websites, academic journals, blog posts, anything like that. And then similarly, if you have any websites you'd like to avoid, so say you're specifically looking for academic research, you can say to avoid any specific URL sites, social media sites, opinionated articles, or blogs. And that can help refine your research even further. You'll also see, I did not choose to do this inside this specific research, but you also have the opportunity to upload any local files. So say your team did other research outside of this and had a collaborative doc onto your desktop, you can upload that here as well with all those privacy permissions enabled. And then if you do have any assets that are inside QuickSuite itself, you can do what I did, which was link your space, your dashboard, your topics, and any knowledge base you have inside QuickSuite to that research. Again, all of this information is to help inform what the research is going to do and give it more context to solve the actual problem. All right. Okay, so what else can you do with Quick Research? Thus far, I've showed you how to refine everything from the prompt process all the way up till the planning. But as we'll see in the demo, you're going to get a generated plan, which will be a very in-depth documentation that shows you the research, which are categorized into different subjects and subtitles to help make your planning process more smoothly. But what you can do in that step is one, view your plan in reading mode. So you'll see when I share on the screen, you can have an edit mode, and then you'll have a reading mode, which allows you to just read it as you would any type of article. You also have the option to comment on sections, and this allows you to revise and edit Quick's research. So you'll see I'll give you a little taste of how you can comment and revise. So say you want to change one of the sections or subheadings and you want to focus on a different topic, you're able to comment that, which will look like this screen here. And then if you update your research, the research will update to your suggested comments. So this is an iterative process like you would for any essay that you've done on your own to be able to refine and revisit your research to make it look like something more that you would see if you produced it yourself. All right. And then you can also, which is a really cool feature, is understand your research further. You'll see this when the plan is generated, but by understand the research, this will be an icon that you can get. And if you click on it, you'll get something like this, which will be a pop-up that allows you to understand what statements are being made. And this prevents the hallucinations that may be caused. So if you see a data point and that looks a little strange to you, you can click on that icon, understand the source that it's coming from. So this came from this site here. Understand the breakdown of the conclusion it's making, the exact quote that it's taking from, a brief explanation of what that exactly means, both in the context of your research plan, but also in the context of the exact site it came from. So if I had a question on a data point, I could use this to inform what's happening and choose to keep it or not keep it. And I can even go back to the original source to make sure that, in fact, this is something that is reputable and that I want to keep in this research plan. So I think that's a really great feature, one of my favorites as part of this capability within QuickSuite. And then some other features that I want to show here are when you're wanting to summarize. So you'll see we have a detailed plan, but for moving to that point forward, you can also take that plan and truncate it into something more manageable and fitting to your needs of what you want to do with the research. So I could choose to summarize with AI, which will be another step in the research process, and I can create a custom summary that I choose here by entering a prompt. Or I can choose a specific style. So you'll see here that the styles that we could do, this one is an Amazon style document. We're really big on writing here at Amazon. I could also choose to have an executive summary. So in this description, the research plan would then be refined to be more VP-oriented tone, and then with a 2-page max and no citations. So those are just a few options of what you can do with Quick Research. And then as you can see here, this is something I generated from one of the ones I've tried before, which is the same prompt. And I chose to do an executive summary. So it took the plan, which is about 10 plus pages, truncated it into 2 pages, and it gives me clear actions. So it's going to give me first the purpose and objective, next the key findings and insights, so what it's exactly found inside of the research process that it's created. And then I can also, at this point, it's not in the screenshot here, but I could download this to edit on my own inside of a Word document or download it as a PDF to share with others. So that's great to know as well. And now I'm going to switch back to my screen with Quick Suite, and let's see how the research is processed. All right. Okay, so hopefully everybody can see my screen again. Let me know if you cannot. You should be looking at this screen. It says working through research tasks. So this is what it will look like when it's generating the research. It looks like it's still being generated. It's 33% done. So I might switch over to my pre-generated plan that I already got here. But there will be no smoke and mirrors. This is exactly what happens. And then the next step I'll show you on the screen to my right will be the exact next step that happens after this research. But quickly, since this is still generating, I do just want to share that this is what it looks like. So you can check on the research. You can see what exact sites it's pulling from. You can even see bits of threads of how it's conducting the logic behind what it's pulling. So the data here is showing what parts are relevant to my prompt, what information it's gathering in specific data points, and it's doing that across different subsections. So I'll scroll through here a bit before I switch over my screen. But I just want to share this so that you know what it looks like generating. And so again, my research agent is continuing to generate this, but for the sake of time, I'm going to switch over to the plan I have already created here. And so this is my plan. This is the research with the exact same prompt, which you can see here, that I have created. And this is what Quick Research has generated. So this is really cool. What you can see here is the materials that I've added. So again, you see I've added that space topic and dashboard. And then you can see the breakdown of different topics. So my summary, this one is giving me the regional sales performance and market opportunities, a flavor section of what's happening with consumer preferences, how to uphold our ingredient quality, which is really important to this company with the supply chain localization. That's a really cool insight. What type of store types we could sell to. This is really interesting. It's doing it by country. Some of the consumer demographics, competitive positioning and market entry, that 1-year implementation timeline, which I made sure to put in my prompt. So this will be really cool to analyze later. The risk assessment we'd like to conduct to mitigate any risks that we have or that we are taking as a company. And then some KPIs and success metrics that we'll want to measure during this opportunity. Okay, so as you can see, this is quite lengthy. From here, this is the time where, again, we want to keep humans in the loop always. So this is where I would refine the research, be able to make those comments, understand what's happening in this document, and be able to iterate on this process. So I'm going to showcase a little bit what that looks like. If I wanted to enter reading mode, I could toggle that on here and just strictly read it front to back or beginning to end and make any of the suggestions that I want. So I can take notes here. I could just read this as if I was reading an essay. I'm just going to enter the reading mode off and show you a bit of the capabilities. So for example, let's try to use that commenting feature. So I can see here, this is that comment pane that I showed in the presentation. And let's say I'll just pick a random section here. Let's try retail store types and distribution channel strategy. All right, I'm looking at this section. I briefly said that it's covered different countries. So we see Japan has convenience store dominance. That's really interesting. South Korea is more integrated retail with convenience focus. Okay, India has e-commerce and quick commerce revolution. So maybe that's something a little bit more aligned since we're already an e-commerce company. We see Australia has supermarket duopoly. Okay, that sounds pretty cool. And then we also see there's a bit more information on Southeast Asia, consumer behavior, and strategic distributions. So just looking at this briefly here, I'm gonna pick this section here. It's saying e-commerce platform leadership. Since we are an e-commerce company already, we sell online through all regions. I think I'm just gonna pick this one. We see that Southeast Asia demonstrates the most dynamic e-commerce growth globally, with platform-based retail showing very good performance. These are current companies, which has this percentage of the platform region-wide, and it's specifically mentioning Shopee maintains dominance while TikTok. Okay, so here I'm gonna put a comment. I don't know what Shopee is, so I want to comment here and say, add more research into Shopee because this could be something we want to integrate in, and see how it aligns with our existing e-commerce platforms. How can we leverage this to increase marketing? Because I have a feeling it's something like TikTok Shop. This to increase marketing and revenue in this region. All right, so I've added that as a comment. So from here, quick research, we'll put that in the comment section, and we can see that I could resolve it, I could edit or delete it, but what I'm going to do is create another version with it. So before I do that, I just want to share how to understand the statement. So I'll hover to one of the icons that show it. Let's see here. We'll do this one here. And you might also note that there are these footnotes here. These are showing you what resources it's pulling from. So some of them have the same number, which means that's pulling from the same resource. And then there's other numbers here. So now I'm going to use this to understand the statement. This statement is saying this framework delivers 20% higher protein than leading brands and 30% lower carbs than competitors, providing clear competitive advantages in health-conscious Asian markets. And this is talking about the quality for ingredients. So I'm going to say, understand this statement. So evidence is confirming that any retail snacks offer products with 20% higher protein and 30% lower carbs. That's coming straight from our documentation that I've uploaded. And then it's saying that the evidence too, which is going to be also listed in the same statement, provides specific nutritional framework that enables these advantages, showing concrete parameters for protein content and carb limits. And then it's giving me the breakdown for each of those evidence pieces. So the first one, it's talking about the documentation that I've uploaded, which was a trend forecast. And it's telling me the exact quote that was put into the doc and giving me a breakdown of what that means. So it's confirming that this does in fact have 20% higher protein content. If we skip down here, same doc, it's saying that it's also outlining the specific nutritional framework. So again, this is why we have these data points in here. And then this one here, it's saying that this is coming from system knowledge. So it's coming from domain knowledge, common sense, and premises. And it's the quote, Asian markets have shown increasing demand for health-conscious food products with better nutritional profiles, particularly those with higher content and lower protein and lower carbs. This is a global trend of health-conscious consumer preferences in developed markets, including Asia, where consumers increasingly seek products with superior nutritional profiles, especially those emphasizing higher protein and lower carbs. So even if I didn't truly believe in this statement, I could refine that further and try to dig for more research. I'm going to leave this as is, and then I'm going to close this. And so those are just two examples of how I can interact with this plan that it's created. We're not going to go through the whole thing because, as you can see, it's very lengthy, and that would take a lot more than the 1 hour slot we have here. But I want to show you what I can do with this create version 2. So this will create another research version. It's going to be ready in about 20 to 30 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and press continue. This is going to start revising. And hopefully we see here that this Shopee information will be uploaded. So while that's researching, I'm going to jump back to the one we had generated to see what that looks like. All right, and this looks like it's almost done here. Okay, so here is the loaded plan. As you can see, we see the additional Shopee section here, which is giving us strategic alignment with existing e-commerce. This section looks pretty interesting. I could have added a comment if I wanted to. I'm seeing it's giving me specific information on one of their SKUs, which is that international platform. And then I would just want to check down here if it input it back into the original spot with the other country-specific information. So let's see here. Now I can see, so this looks pretty familiar. Oh, and this is interesting. It's now generated charts and explanation of the charts to dive deeper into the data relevant to Shopee. So this is really cool. I can keep on digging deeper here. I'm seeing all different kinds of metrics it's gathering and use that as additional comparison. Maybe these are going to be helping out my team build context and recommendations for our solution. But yeah, that looks really great. Now let's go ahead and move on. As we see, this is generated. This is the prompt that we use that has been generating, just as a reminder. And now I'm going to share with you how you can summarize. So I'm going to go ahead and click this. This is our AI summary. Again, I have that option to create my custom summary, which I can use with my own prompt. You can see here, this is one of the recommendations. But I'm just going to use a preset summary. Just for time's sake, I'm going to just say executive summary, 2 pages, no citations. This tone should be for an executive. So it should be just a very high level of what's happening and give me pretty actionable insights of what our company should do. Okay, so pretty quickly here, you can see that it's generating my document. Again, we see these different sections that are giving me different subheadings of specific topics within my overall prompt, and then it's ending with a recommendation. So I have this purpose up here, some key finding and insights that were found within my research, which looks great, even specific data points of what's happening. So we can see that the Japan and Australia countries account for 67.8% of existing revenue. This might want to inform my decisions. And then we can see even more supporting evidence with a brief analysis of what's going on here. And then lastly, implications and recommendations along with risks and considerations. And so this looks pretty good. I will not review this whole thing, but as you can see here, if you want to read on the screen, there's a lot of good info. And then quickly, I want to share how you can download this. So as I mentioned before, you can press this download button and you could create this as a PDF or Word doc. The Word doc will allow you to create edits, even more putting in some more tone of your own voice and be able to put in additional data or points that you want to make based on this plan that is outlined. And then the PDF will be that static version, which you could then upload into your space. So I went back to the research plan, and here I can share. So this is where I'll share with my team members. And all I have to do is put in their email, username, or group name. So hopefully that answers questions on sharing. Currently, this is just myself. I'm not going to share with anybody. But that's where you can share with your teammates. And then when they make any comments in the research or click through any of these and create additional versions, which you'll see here, that will be within your own permission team members.